Good evening. Welcome to the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District Board meeting of February 5th, where everybody is sitting in the back row. The board did meet in closed session and with no reportable action. Are there any changes to the, oh no, let's go to 4. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Shall we stand? Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Wow. Okay, now we can.
And Camila Martinez.
And we are the North Tahoe High School student representatives.
The first semester wrapped up successfully, with students completing their finals and finishing strong. Everyone is thrilled and motivated
where students will be able to send flowers to one another, always a fun way to spread some cheer.
Many students are feeling the impact of the new presidency, and many are seeking ways to support one another and stand up for our beliefs. During times like these, it's the strong sense of community at North Tahoe High that shines through. Our Lakish spirit is built on looking out for each other and standing together.
This weekend, students will have an opportunity to participate in the Steps to College trip, another step towards college preparedness. We are also planning a college trip through ARC, providing students with the chance to explore their options and take a closer look at different campuses.
We are gearing up for our 8th grade student and family high school orientation on February 13, which will help incoming students transition smoothly into high school.
We have a new huge milestone. March will mark the first ever on-site SAT for our students. This will help eliminate the stress of traveling long distances to find testing locations and provide a convenient and accessible option.
The boys basketball team is 11-4 overall, currently sitting in 4th place. With 3 more league games before regionals, they are pushing for a strong finish to the season. The girls' team is 13-2 in 2nd place in the league, and they have 3 more games remaining before regionals.
Both basketball teams will be hosting Silver Stage at home next Tuesday for their last home game of the season and senior night, a great opportunity to honor our senior athletes.
Both our boys and girls snowboard team are undefeated in the league, and we have more races before the state competition in March. We are looking forward to seeing them finish strong.
Our Nordic teams are in 2nd place behind Truckee High with 2 more races left before state. There's still time to push for first, and we're excited to see how they finish the season.
Leadership is already planning a number of spring events to look forward to. And that's a wrap on this month's updates. We will keep pushing forward to another great semester.
Thank you for having us. As always, it is a pleasure to emphasize and recognize our students and staff's accolades with you all and celebrate the school spirit that makes North Tahoe High such a special place.
Thank you very much. I always get my calendar out and try to put down things that I've forgotten to remember to go to, but that's great. Lots of good things. Quinn from Sierra High, Coldstream Alternative.
Good evening, Superintendent Kramer, members of the board, and members of the cabinet. My name is Quinn Holan, and I'm an 11th grade student with Coldstream Alternative. Students and staff finished the first semester strong and started the second semester even stronger. Sierra High School had 11 new students start the second semester, and over half of those are seniors. The school enjoys seeing new faces, and they've truly been a great addition to the school. Coldstream Alternative started the second semester strong with 15 new students. That puts Coldstream enrollment at just over 80 students. A shout out to our student athletes for juggling the school requirements while training and competing in athletics. Sierra High School students participated in a gathering of peace ceremony with Gateway Mountain Center. This was a time where students learned the practice of peaceful lifestyles, relationships, and overall approach to life. Sierra High School, Truckee River program, and Coldstream students have been preparing for college and post-high school opportunities by completing their FAFSA applications with our college and career technician. Bilingual services has also been helpful to support our Spanish-speaking families with this process. Our school administrator, Mr. Santos, spent 3 days as a visiting WASC team member with a continuation high school in the Sacramento area. He shared that this was a great opportunity and experience for WASC preparation for both Sierra High School and Coldstream Alternative. Truckee High River program had one of their students graduate at the end of the first semester, which was really exciting. Truckee River program also has 3 new students start the second semester. It's great to have new students to start the second semester. Lake Tahoe Community College visited Sierra High School and provided an overview of their school programs and programs offered for students. There were a lot of students interested in attending there next year. Our college and career technician has already been working with students on their application and transitions to their school. That's it for tonight. Thank you.
Okay, we always say this, that you get bonus points for having to do all 3 schools, so that's awesome. But pretty, and 4, right? Yeah, I would ask for a raise. I'm not sure who's on that one, but or get extra credit. You can graduate early, I think. That's a lot. That's a lot. Those numbers are great. Yeah. That's great. Awesome. Okay, Truckee High, let's wrap this up. We got 3 of you here, but only 2. Okay.
Okay. My name is Faith, and I'm a junior at Truckee High.
And I'm Lillian, and I'm a sophomore at Truckee High.
So here's some updates on what we've been doing at school.
Oh, wait.
I'll do this part.
Yeah.
We had our finals for our first semester on the 23rd and the 24th, and our leadership class provided students with snacks, pencils, and fidget toys. And then the following Monday, we started our new semester with our new class schedules.
All of our winter sports are currently in season, and those include wrestling, snowboarding, alpine skiing, basketball, and Nordic skiing. Our teacher and student of the month for January were Una Davis and Miss Cussin.
Through leadership, we've also started hosting Parents' Night Out. We had our first one this past month, and we're hoping to make it a more regular event. It was very successful. We had one student as a babysitter for every child present. We're also hoping to make it more accessible and spread the word to students at elementary schools, and it's available to ages 4 and older. Our next Parents' Night Out is February 20th from 5 to 8, and it's $30 for 3 hours. This fundraiser is for student events like prom and other dances.
The leadership class is also planning for Valentine's Day by decorating our hallways, making goodie bags for students to buy, and decorating teachers' doors with hearts and personalized adjectives on them.
Our upcoming dances include the spring formal. It's like prom, but we aim at our lower classmen. We also have prom coming up at Alpine this year. We're planning a formal wear swap so prom dresses can be provided for those who don't have them or can't afford them.
We are also accepting donations through the end of February for these events. We are welcoming businesses and individuals to donate to help subsidize student prom ticket costs.
On February 13th, we're hosting our back to school night, and we'll have leadership tables there pre-sailing our Valentine's Day goodies. Parents can have them delivered to their students in class. We're also selling our Truckee High sweatshirts that are a fundraiser for our other student events, and students will also be able to lead parents to their next classroom.
And that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Before you guys go, wait, the slideshow is awesome. So Parent Night Out, so you guys are just doing that, that's your leadership group that's just doing it at the school?
Yeah, so the leadership had the idea for it, but we've gotten a bunch of other kids just like that aren't in leadership class to come and help babysit.
Yep.
And then, yeah, we just
And then how
watched-
did you advertise?
We just did, I think, Instagram blasts. We also have like a TikTok account, just like social media for the most.
So psyched, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's one of our things we needed in our district was more childcare. So then you guys, I'd like you to figure out how to start one. And then,
Yeah, and the kids get community service hours for
I was
it.
gonna say that's perfect, but it's doing something that is important for our community. Like, we need that so that our people can actually work, our people are, so we can work. So you guys are doing something that is actually beneficial right to us. And it's a win-win, and the kids love you. Like, the little kids love big heads. Awesome. All right, thank you guys very, very much. That's the best part. So at this point, I'd like to, we can adjourn the meeting. That was it. All right, actually, the highlight is coming up. Superintendent Kramer, moving to 10.0. Thank you all, students, very, very much.
Thank you. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce our principal of North Tahoe School, Mr. Chad Lindeen, for our school showcase. He goes first. Do you need the clip? Yeah. There we go. There we go.
Okay.
Art is amazing.
I know, isn't it so?
Okay. Always, should I use glasses or not? Good evening, Superintendent Kramer, President Driller, and members of the board. My name is Chad Lindeen. I'm the principal at North Tahoe School, and it is my pleasure to be here tonight. I would like to thank Mario Andrighetto, our art teacher, for providing some artwork around the perimeter of the room. Our students work, and they are amazing. And well, that, Todd, I don't know. Is that something that we're able to do? I need to check in, with the finance department. I'm also thrilled to introduce our assistant principal, Betsy Pillsbury, and a few of our teachers, Renee Arrington, Kristen Sura, and Robin Von Twistern, who will be sharing. Our continued efforts to increase the quantity and quality of discourse around text and task to improve student learning. Let me just move this one. I've written down a lot of this because it's been a robust process, and we've really been at this for a very, very long time. Whoops, I thought that was gonna go back up. Oh, do I have to go this way? Oh, there we go. Okay. So the reason why we started to focus on this, we were invited actually to a grant that was the Gates Foundation in cooperation with Stanford University about identifying root cause for some of the lack of gains that we might be making with student learning. And when we went to that, it was in 2017, and we identified the root cause, and the root cause for our secondary schools was that there really was not as many opportunities as there should be for students to be able to use academic language to build up ideas around the content that they were learning. And as a result, we started this effort. Again, it was 2017. We made a great deal of progress during those years, all the way up until COVID. And then things, of course, went online, and just as a result, it was a lot of stand and deliver as we were trying to teach kids online. So during that time, though, we made lots of gains prior to COVID, and teachers worked diligently to collect evidence that would further our efforts in trying to get kids doing more of the reading, writing, speaking, listening, and thinking in the classroom. Some of the things that we did was just reflect on our teaching practices, whether we were planning for discourse to occur and whether we were implementing it. Just simple yes, no. Were we getting the results that we were looking for? Teachers then started to move on to sentence frames to give better access, making sure that kids could look back and refer to text or task in order to bring alive their words. And we just continued that way up into looking at recordings, audio and video recordings, and analyzing those recordings, and also doing what's called write, converse, write, which is when students will write on a topic that they have some background in, but then engage in a structured academic discourse with their peers in multiple ways, and then write again, and get stronger and clearer in their writing and in their thinking. So this led into what we recently did in 23-24 when we met with PCOE for differentiated assistance. And again, our school district landed on academic discourse as an initiative that matters. And it became part of the strategic plan. So now, we're working on it all together, K through 12. And I like to think that the work that we did prior to the pandemic was really, really helpful. So this year, just specifically, we started off with having teachers really think deeply about the structures in their classrooms, how we were going to precision partner students with other students for particular reasons, not just by chance, or not just for behavior management, but for building up ideas and learning more. And so teachers submitted strategic plans, whether it be like elbow partners, AB partners, or face partners, or even diagonal partners, so that this kind of discourse could happen as a routine in classrooms, not just a one standalone event. And so teachers did that, and then we have started to collect video evidence. In fact, every teacher in our school collected and submitted video and or audio evidence that they could then analyze together in their PDSA process, the Plan, Do, Study, Act process, and be able to identify next steps to make this better. Most recently, we started to work with Sarah Colborn, and Sarah is now facilitating learning walks with all of the teachers in our school to go in and actually use the learning walk tool that the district has, but be able to collect it for, to be able to analyze what they're seeing as far as instruction and student learning, and then take that learning and move it into planning for their own classroom. So we're really excited about all of the work. The teachers have been so dedicated from the very beginning. And with that, I'd like to reintroduce Kristen Sura and Renee Arrington.
You can do that.
You want?
Tell you,
I
it's
think
a
I did it.
lot
I did it
easier
wrong again.
working with 13-year-olds. I brought my fidget.
Kristen Sura, Renee Arrington, we teach 8th grade. I teach 8th grade science. She's loud. I'm loud. Kristen teaches 8th grade ELA for North Tahoe. And do you want to just introduce kind of the...
So I was one of the original, Callie grant attendees. I don't know if that would be the right word. Callie was the grant that Chad referred to that was the focus, discovered that the focus of maybe why we were stalled in learning was due to the fact that kids weren't really talking to each other about content to build on each other's strengths. And some of that was language. We have, language learners. And some of that was just, at least in my opinion, middle school, awkwardness. So we kind of went on this quest to overtly teach kids how to talk to each other, which would be really nice if we could do with adults, but we teach 8th grade. So what Renee and I are just gonna briefly tell you is what 8th grade does. We're the top of the heap, well, not really, but we're the top of the middle school heap. And so we're building on some of the strengths that have been happening. And I'm sad they left, but I wanna shout out to those girls who just spoke from North Tahoe, who were, they're wonderful anyway, but they were a product of some overt teaching of, speaking and listening in middle school and really how to present yourself. And I was super proud of them.
They grew so much because, I had them in COVID, so it was 2020, and it was a totally different teaching world, but they have grown so much. It's beautiful to see.
And it's consistent, that is their level of delivery, just so you know.
Oh, nice, yay. Awesome.
So you can.
So I'm going to start out, and kind of how 8th grade took this on was, since we get them after they have gone through the wonderful teachings of 6th, and since we've had this focus up to through 7th, and then we kind of can mold them more and take them to another level in 8th. They're coming to us with background. It's not, an empty slate, and it's wonderful. Some of the things that we have up here, so I'm going kind of how we take a product that has already had some, knowledge behind it. These are tools that 8th grade uses. This many of our tools, because it gets a little overwhelming if we were to shove everything on there, but it's a basic to make the kids a little bit more successful at academic discourse and have genuine discussions rather than just that impersonal, which we're trying to mold them out of. But some of the examples we have here that we have discovered as 8th, and it has gone through all 6th, 7th, and 8th, but it starts with a good prompt. And to get a kid to really talk, it's really important to have them to have something to talk about. This just happens to be an example of how does atomic theory, how has it changed over time? So building upon what they have done, then they look at atomic theory and they have a discussion as how it had grown, changed, evolved, and what is our final, what do we believe as the atomic theory of present day, modern day atomic theory. We also look at non-examples. At the top, it's kind of hard to see. It says a model, maybe even a non-example. So we have gone through teaching what's wrong, seeing what is not working in this example versus what is working in a good example, showing them the difference so they can work on their own discussion. This is just one example of, oh my gosh, sentence frames, we've got them. Some of the familiar sentence frames of the kids that we see, they know these. They know where they are in our classrooms. They can whip them out. And, if it is an issue that they have to have a discussion and they're sitting there looking at each other, you see them go and refer to their tool. And then they can at least say something. And they get the ball started. And that is our whole goal and what's been beautifully done from 6th to 7th to us. They don't sit there and just go, So This is another example of possible sentence frames to use with a prompt or questions that they're building upon. And what we do is we practice. I've taught a lot of years, and this is not new, but man, it's good teaching, and it's really neat to see it coming back and being put in front of our faces that it is something that we should do and be made to do, because it does work. Next slide, Chad.
Oh, thanks.
Now
Oh,
you're
I
on.
can't read that.
Oh, yeah, you gotta get closer.
I'm gonna wing it. Okay. So how do we make these conversations happen? We just force them. No, I'm kidding. Again, what Renee said, we just build on 6th and 7th grade because they have a pretty solid foundation, but you kind of have to assume that, they come in blank. So we continue with Socratic seminars. Socratic seminar is like a safer way to sit and have a contribution, build on someone else's idea, but you're still a whole class. So we work, 6th and 7th grade are learning that, so then what happens is by the time they get to 8th grade, they really are so practiced that they can focus on the content, and that's the goal for us. The second thing is philosophical chairs discussion, which really, I teach 8th grade English, and they love to argue, and debate tends to bring out this and I think you guys would agree that that is probably not what we should be teaching right now, is to win. So philosophical chairs is about trying to change your own mind instead of trying to change someone else's mind. I have to say it's pretty challenging, but it's really fun, and those sentence frames help a lot, because it's not, I don't know if it's not human nature or what, but we tend to want to be right. My husband says you can be right or you can be happy. So I have taught that to the kids, like, we're not going to be right, we're going to be happy when we leave instead of angry. So that's helpful. And then paired conversation stations. Renee started this. It was a great idea because paired conversation, when they're younger, they like the attention of like, oh, you're recording me, like, this is cool. In 8th grade, they're a little more shy, not shy, but a little more self-conscious maybe. So Renee came up with a way to voice record. That's the tool we tend to use. Voice record kids having a conversation about content with or without sentence frames, depending on what they need, they're available. And they record themselves, which means they're at a station and they can listen to themselves, which they do numerous times. They play back.
And they will correct it. And it's just turning out, we thought maybe it was like, well, try this. It turned out to be really valuable. So we want to play you one, right?
Yep.
Chad knows which one.
Yep.
I left some for you guys if you want to hear some others.
No,
Do you want me to
it's
warm it
mini.
up so they know who they're listening to?
Sure.
It's Gabe and Ever. They had read the book Refugee, which has three concurring plots, well, 3 plots that all have the refugee experience in common, but take place in very different time periods. And so they're discussing the book. I'll just leave it at that. And they're both really cool, in my opinion. It's audio only, so. It's a lot easier to get them to do audio.
One thing I remember about
It has a blip, but it'll come back.
the book Refugee by Alan Gratz was probably about like how the refugees had a hard time like traveling and stuff and the struggles they went through. And I just like think it's really cool that they had to go through all that but still survived.
One thing that I remember about this book, Refugee by Alan Gratz, is that there was a lot of people that died during the Holocaust and they had to run away on St. Louis, and how also Cuba rejected their offer to go into their city as refugees. And another thing that's interesting to me is how the dry foot, wet foot law by the Cuban government and the U.S. government, allowing Cubans to go to the U.S. if they even step foot, that I feel like that's really good.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like you're saying that like they just got rejected and still kept on pushing through to get there. I totally agree with that. Also in like Isabel's story, it's crazy how they had to take that little raft made out of like plastic cans and stuff, fill it up with air and just pray they make it.
I agree with what you said about Isabel, but I feel like Mahmoud was also important because he had to travel through Turkey, and he had to go on a dinghy to like go through all that just to get to Germany. And I also felt like it was really cool that the plots connected in some way at the end of the book. Mahmoud was able to reach Joseph's sister in Germany at the end.
Yeah, that was really cool that we figured out that Joseph's sister was the one taking them in. It was also crazy to think about how like Mahmoud's little sister and Joseph's little brother went through that stuff at so young. Like, what's his name? Waleed. He just like changed so much through the book because of like all that happened, and they just lost hope. But I feel like another big thing in the book was hope.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I got from the book.
Yeah, me too. I feel like those were really important.
Yeah.
And what you don't hear is all the discussion that's happening during the pause button. Yeah, that's what you're not getting when they're like, how far back was it? Okay, so remember, we're gonna talk about, and then they have all this discussion, and then they push go again. Yeah, and they're calm and collected, and we're trying to make it more and more available that every time we're doing an activity, you could hear the kids in the back, usually they're a lot louder actually, honestly. But we're doing an activity and it's always available to go and talk about it. And so we're getting kids, and we still pick partners to go do it so they don't just go with their best friend, which sometimes happens. But we'll just say, you and you, go have a discussion. And sometimes they don't really even know each other, and they always turn out pretty great.
They help
So anyway.
each other through it if one's struggling more than the other. It's a pretty.
And so to see how we get there, because they don't just come in 8th grade, we want to introduce Robin. And Robin Von Twistern teaches 7th grade, but she's also taught 8th, so she knew that book really well.
Yes.
So this is Robin, and thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. So I'm going to keep mine pretty short and sweet. So this is a spotlight, and I'm going to narrow that spotlight even more onto just the English class in 7th grade. Even though lots of good things are happening throughout 7th grade, this is just English. And also, even more so around just constructive conversations, because like they said, there were lots of different ways we can have conversations in the classroom, lots of strategies, but this is just, I'm just talking about constructive conversations, which is when, you know, you have a pair of students who are trying to build up an idea, like Chad had mentioned before, with a single prompt. And I have had some ahas with this recently, and that's what I'm here to share with you. I found that using, that being very specific about their goals for speaking is helpful. So we had 2 goals. We're going to work on introducing a new idea and checking for our understanding, which is active listening, right? We're going to make sure what we heard was what they meant to say and so on. So I found that by just narrowing it down on those 2 was really helpful. And what they did was they were given some sentence frames to look at and then a model. So if we could switch to the next one. So they read a model of a discussion and they analyzed it for those sentence frames. And I was just amazed at how much this helped to do before they went off and had their conversation. So they highlighted and they annotated. So if you notice, like the third speaker there, it says, look at paragraph 9. And so I noticed the kids were really able to do that as in their conversations and, you know, look in the book on this page. Also, they were doing things like, wow, you're right. And just repeating what they had just read in the model was really cool to see. So I have an example for you here tonight of that. And that's all I have to share for you.
Like a hero helps all people, like for example, like stopping pollution.
They were reading Persepolis, a graphic novel about a girl from Iran who grew up during the Islamic Revolution. And the question was, what makes someone a hero?
It helps from like the richest people in the whole world to the poorest people in the whole world, and kind of just helps humanity in general.
Yeah, I agree with that, since saving anything in general is probably what a hero does, especially the world, because that's what we're populated off. I would like to add that even like the smallest thing someone can do can make a hero. Like if someone lost something really important to them that was from their mother or something, and you found it, they would like change someone's whole like view on them.
Yeah. Another definition for a hero for me is like protecting others before yourself. Like in the book Persepolis, Margin keeps mentioning how heroic it is to go to jail for like other people for protesting against the revolution.
So what you're saying is that in the book, when Margin says that protesting against the revolution is what her views on what making a hero is, and it's really important. I also agree with that, because on the page 47 of Persepolis, it says that a hero is someone that stands up for anything, even if it's illegal, anything that stands up for their rights.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if someone's a hero, but if someone's a hero and they do something bad, does it still make them a hero, even though after all the bad things and great things they did?
That's a really interesting question. I really like that. I feel like it depends on how bad and how good they acted.
I just want to highlight that Chris did notice that the Vermont sweatshirt was right there in the front, which is actually a very good person to. I was going to make a comment, but she beat me to it. But yes, very good choice.
Motivations are much deeper than that, but I just thought for Misty over here.
Yeah, good effort. Okay, now you guys definitely win.
Okay, and then I'm going to finish up with some of the work that the 6th grade has been doing in academic discourse. And actually it's really great because us getting back to academic discourse through the differentiated assistance aligns nicely with the last 2 times we presented to you guys at the board meeting at our showcase, because we presented, I think 2 years ago we presented with AVID, and last year community engagement. And we are using all of those strategies in AVID. Actually, Socratic Seminar is an AVID strategy. Abby and Eva are both AVID students in our examples, and the enhanced pair share and table talk is an AVID strategy. So it's, raising the tides of the boats for all of our students, particularly our students who might be first generation and or a second language learner. So in 6th grade, we just asked the students, what do they like about Socratic seminars, and how do Socratic seminars help them learn and think deeply? I'm not going to read every single one, but if I were to pick one, I would pick the one, I think Ruby R's is pretty powerful in the upper right-hand corner. I can't see either. If someone wants to read it for me.
They help me think deeply by each other adding on to each other's ideas, which later leads to the answer, or even better answer than the one that we expected to get.
Yeah. And so you can see the power in that. And I think Kristen had mentioned the Socratic Seminar is just a strategy that helps students get feedback from each other about their thinking, about their conversation. There's, of course, sentence frames and structures, and there's feedback structures as well. We also asked our students, what do you like about conversations in pairs, and how do conversations in pairs help you think and learn deeply? And on this one, I think it was Giselle's comment was really awesome.
In the dark one?
Yeah.
They help me find new things and also wonder about my thoughts. Did I read that correctly? It's very hard to read.
So that's just like our enhanced pair share conversations where they, like what Chad had mentioned at the beginning, where we precision partner. We often are thoughtful about how we put our students together. It allows for students who are potentially shy to have a say in the conversation and share what they're thinking, and it always brings more to the table. And then lastly, what do you like about table team conversations, and how do table team conversations help you think and learn deeply? And actually, I think I picked two on this one. Mia's, if someone could read Mia's, please.
Another color.
I know, sorry. I thought I would be able to read it from here, but I can't.
Sometimes I change my mind when I heard someone else's idea, and sometimes it makes me really think about how different our ideas are.
Yeah.
You know, Betsy, we do have a mobile vision.
Mia's got some rainbows.
Yeah, I know. I turned 40 and I can't see anything anymore, so. Yeah, so it's really great that all of our work is aligning to the district work, but also like our site work, and how important it is to have that equity of talk in the classroom, and it be the students talking. Thank you.
And that is really it, but I did want to mention, Betsy brought up how the Academic Discourse Initiative really relates to the community engagement and to our AVID at the middle school AVID strategies. It also is a social emotional piece. And I think sometimes we forget, like, the wellness centers are fantastic, what we're doing with wellness centers. This kind of social emotional learning for students is about what happens here. And you could hear it in the videos, and you could hear it in the audios, and you could see it in the statements that, you know, kids find value in hearing other people's ideas and having their ideas changed or improved upon. And really that's how kids are going to grow socially and emotionally. So it feels like we're hitting all of the boxes. So we really appreciate letting us share tonight, and thank you to our amazing staff.
That was awesome. Thank you. Any public comment on that?
Wonderful.
That was awesome. There you go. And board comments?
I'll just make a comment. I love just the way it's framed and how you presented it tonight about constructive conversations, which is so critical for our students, especially right now when they have so many different things coming at them, whatever age it is, to be able to reach out to, whether it's in pairs or kind of have these communal conversations, and it's kind of understanding that listening part of it, and then how to kind of build on what you've heard and be able to be open to other ideas. Which I think is just so important moving through life too. And we've been able to see it as we go into all the different school sites, you know, from the kindergartners and kind of how they're, you know, awkwardly learning how to speak their mind or listen to other people, all the way when you get into high school where they're, you know, doing debate and other things. And it's just such a interesting process for us, I think, as a school board too, to just have you come and present to us so that we can see, you know, what's happening from the educator perspective too, and how the students kind of learn. So I just really appreciate it. Thank you.
I'll go with someone else.
No, go ahead.
And I appreciate what Danielle said, and I agree with it. And Robin, on one of your slides, you had the list of the ahas, but what did you said they were constructive conversations, right? Ahas. And what I loved about that list is that it's a great place to start with kids who are just learning how to do this. Every one of those little steps, I think, was important. And the two, I think, maybe that struck me as the most, important for these kids who are starting was the low risk and starting off in pairs, right? And then rather than a larger group. And so I think that was great. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And Renee, and is it Kristen? Kristen. So okay, I had it right the first time.
There's too many of us.
So bad, Kristen. But I am, I'm one of Academic Discourse's biggest fans, and I know that the two of you are Cali OGs and have been doing this since 2016 and before. And as Renee said, actually way before that, it's been going, it's unofficially been happening a long time, and then became sort of a thing around 2014, 15, 16, and I've seen, I've seen firsthand classrooms transform when academic discourse becomes sort of a focal point in a classroom, especially in an English or literature classroom. And I think one of the biggest transformations that happens in a classroom when you start engaging kids in this way is, well, I already said it, is the engagement piece. Yes, they start thinking about different things, they get better at conversations, but just getting the reluctant kids to start talking about what they're working on makes such a difference. And I think that the work that you're doing at your school is great. But here's my question: Kristen and Renee have been doing this, for forever. I know, because and it's become an initiative in this district. Okay, yeah, not long ago, but you've been doing it for a great deal, and I know a lot of teachers have been doing it. Has the push for academic discourse in this more formal manner in the classrooms across the district and across classrooms and across disciplines, are you getting any sort of pushback from teachers who are saying, I've got this down, stop pushing it?
No, because I'm one of the old ones.
Well, that's why I'm asking you.
We would have been the ones pushing back.
And it's funny because I don't know if it's compliments to our admin, but it was presented, and of course, none of us want to do anything additional, don't get me wrong. But doing it, it's good practice, so I don't think anyone's pushed back in the reference you said.
Right.
I think everyone sees the positive aspects of it, so it is, because I teach science. I'm not an ELA teacher, but man, bringing it more structured into my science, I've seen huge growth in kids.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
smiles, just, involvement.
It
Yeah.
actually connects all the subjects too, since we're all doing this. It's kind of nice that we know they're talking in a similar way about different topics in different subject areas, so they seem practiced. And it's fun, and it is our PDSA, so we actually are tackling it professionally, which makes you not really push back because of the fact that you're like, well, this is professional development. Like, if it wasn't this, it would be something maybe that was irrelevant or felt irrelevant. This feels really relevant. Granted, I don't,
Yeah, I love the conversations that we got to hear and watch. It's gone so far from one-word answers. I liked it. Yeah, me too.
I just want to add to what Chad said about social emotional learning, because what I'm seeing more in my students is, first of all, respect for each other's opinion more so than usual. Actually, like today, I was like, go find someone you haven't talked to yet, because I'd run out of partners. And they're seeking each other out based on skill now and like just different things then. And so to me, the social emotional part has been like not the most eye-opening, but the most fun to witness, to listen to them. And it's always a shocker, like that girl who never says anything can debate, It's just fun. So, I don't get any. What about you?
Chris?
Yeah. Okay, so what I liked that I learned in your presentation is kind of just an introspective of, we've been in your school. My kid went through your school, right? So I know that I can walk into your science class and see a student standing on a desk, doing some measuring thing, talking about crazy scientific stuff, and then also have the opportunity to communicate about what they learned or what they were experimenting with. And I know that a student can be in your classroom and rap about stinky shoes and then also read literature and break it down in a way that they're almost rechecking their thoughts on what they just read, not just what their partner is sharing, but what they themselves are. It's just really great. And I can echo what these other two board members said, but all I can think about right now is I'm going to give a shout out to Dr. Leary, because this is exactly what he meant when he would say we're growing scholars. Like that we went from kids to students, now we're evolving scholars. And then they go to the high school, and then they go to crazy hard schools or complicated careers, and they have this life skill that they've learned at your school, and it's just in our district. And it's just incredible, and thank you all so much for what you give to our kids. And I also like that what I'm starting to hear more in our school tours, so it's not just your school, but you brought it up tonight, is almost like an excitement of teaching again, or aspects that you get to teach again, or ways that you get to teach. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's what I'm hearing as a board member, is like there's something happening in the district that teachers are getting back to educating, not just teaching, and it's really, really cool to hear it and see it. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. And thanks to our admin, just for, this is, they didn't have to push this, they focused on this.
Well, they would have actually been fired, so they. So I don't know where that's coming from.
So we made it so sweet.
Well, it definitely, the atmosphere, and I know we've talked about middle school just scares me because it is the crazies, like it is a total crazy time. But to hear that the admin and the teachers and the kids are kind of all talking, in their own voice at their own level is phenomenal. We have spent many, many hours talking about student voice at the high school level. If we really want your kids to say your mind. So Truckee did their walk the other day. The girls are talking about at North Tahoe how we are definitely speaking up for what we feel is important, and being able to have them speak and listening to what you said. Those girls have sent it. But because of the fact that they are, and I was saying that student voice is big, but you can't actually have a student voice unless you have the opportunity of the platform to do it on. And so by providing these platforms, these kids have been able to have a voice. And, they can say what bothers them, the small and quiet person being able to speak. So you provided them an opportunity to speak in a spot that it goes from 6th, 7th, and 8th. That if I'm uncomfortable, I'm going to do my one-to-one, and the table thing's not going to happen for a while. But we're all doing it. So when I go to 7th grade, I'm going to start at the one-to-one, and then I may have to do a table. But at least I've said it a couple times where I can say, I actually believe that, or here's what I think, or why did you say that? So I'm so proud of the fact that our middle school, which I'm always so fearful of how do we solve these problems of these small children, but they are landing on their feet. So the life jackets that you're giving them, and I always use my analogy of the life jackets, some of them are zipping, and some are buttoning, and some are figuring out how to tie, but there's something there, and it's a life jacket that you're giving them, which I think it was awesome. But then the other part that I really liked was the fact that it's, as I think, Kristen, you said, it's all together. We're all doing it. We're saying the same thing. So Renee's going to say it in math, but you're going to do it when you're doing your smelly shoe jam. But it's the same thing I do at ski team. Like, if I talk to my littles with the same thing that they're talking to at the top. So when Pat says, you got to arc your turn around the gate, when I talk to my kids, you got to arc it. Not that they understand what's going on, but when you have that same conversation and you're comfortable saying it, and how many times have we told your kid the more you say it, the easier it is? I'm uncomfortable, or I really like that idea. But I think the highlight of what you just said was the respecting of everybody else. And that's what Danielle was just saying too, that we are now respecting other people, and as we are moving forward in this turbulent time, that anybody that can have a positive comment can make or break somebody's day. So with that was awesome. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for sharing your children. All right, if you guys want to sneak on out, we'll just continue. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for coming over. Thanks for bringing your daughter. Beautiful. Moving on to resolution, item 11.0, Chief Learning Officer Kramer.
Well, President Driller, if I may, I think I will do a superintendent's update.
Why don't we do 10 first?
If that's okay. Thank you. And I do want to thank our families, our facilities team, our staff, and bus drivers for navigating a very sloppy morning and then a very icy morning today. So I just want to acknowledge that winter really can't decide whether it's coming or not. And just thanks to everyone for getting the kids to school, getting themselves to school safely. And we do have a weather watch tomorrow morning, but I don't think Mother Nature is cooperating with the snow. So just stay tuned. We're carefully monitoring, and thank you to everyone's efforts to getting the kids to school safely and on time. And then a couple of district strategic plan updates. Tonight's showcase from North Tahoe School was an excellent update on our action and academic achievement, of how we're refining the academic discourse strategies. And it's so exciting to hear the teachers explain the work they're doing and the ahas that they're having, and then to hear from the students what they like about it. So we just really appreciate their showcase, and we look forward to visiting them soon as a governance team. And then within support systems, we have our CALM committee, which is the Collective Action of Labor and Management. And the CALM team is meeting tomorrow afternoon. And we have been looking at our staff well-being and morale survey data. Staff had the opportunity to take the survey in November of 2024. And last month, I mentioned a couple highlights, but I also wanted to share a few more details. And I think it's important that our staff knows that we really acknowledge and appreciate the time they put into taking these surveys and the comments that they share. So the executive cabinet and the COM committee really carefully looks at all of the feedback, and it does influence our decisions and actions. So what I want to share tonight is a comparison of this year's results to the year before in 2023. And something that is really fascinating to me is that even though this year, in 2024, we had 95 fewer staff take the survey, the results are so consistent. So it was the same questions asked, and it's just a couple different percentage points different. So what I'm going to do tonight is highlight a few areas where we saw variation greater than 3%, and it also circles back to the identified areas from the COM committee last March. So the COM committee, and Trustee Mooney and President Driller are both members of that committee. We really spent a few sessions going through the data, talking about it, and then discussing what do we want to do with the data. And so we identified these priority areas, which making sure that all of our departments and sites have that sense of community, that they're welcoming, that they're inclusive. And then there was a lot of feedback about staff wanting to be seen and valued for their work. So we were also exploring recognition programs. So the things I pulled out, there's a lot of data, but the things I pulled out tonight show that significant change from 2023, and it ties to these priority areas that COM selected. So up at the top there, just so you know numbers, this year 258 staff participated, and in 2023, last year, it was 353. And we have about 600 staff total. And some people might be worried that's not very many, but the Hanover Group is an independent research firm, and they're actually really pleased with our participation rates. Oftentimes, they're hoping for at least 10%, and we've way achieved that over and above. So this first set of statements pertain to the school site or the department. And so the first one was a decrease. So staff members are treated fairly regardless of their religions actually went down a little bit. And then I feel connected with my colleagues, which is a COM priority area, increased. And then I bolded these two just because they had a 7 or 8% increase. That looks like 8%. And it directly ties to our goal of that well-being, of emotional support, physical health. So it's exciting. We would love for it to be higher than 65%, but we made some significant progress there. And then last one, that sense of belonging at their school or department did go up as well. So it's exciting to see that some of the work that CALM has done has filtrated out to our school sites. We're working with the district leadership team on this, and we are seeing some positive gains. These statements pertain to the district as a whole. So those top two are both decreases. So the statement about being in TTUSD, I feel socially accepted, went down 4%. And then a positive work environment for staff with diverse sexual orientations went down 5%. Then I bolded that third one, a shout out to maintenance and our custodial team and the whole facilities team. Workplaces well maintained had a big jump. And then the workplace meets the needs of all the staff had a big jump as well. And that's exciting because again, CALM is really looking for that inclusive nature. And so the fact that people are perceiving that the workplace meets the needs is exciting. I added that enforcing policies because at CALM we've talked about fairness and about making sure that there's equal treatment of staff across all sites or departments and policies being implemented the same way. And there was an increase in that. And then I had to add the last statement about I'm proud of TTUSD went up as well. So although some of the percents for these statements are low, generally we're seeing that increase. And the good news about the areas that decreased, the CALM committee is not alone. We have a separate action about inclusivity and a sense of belonging in the strategic plan. And Dr. Cohen and her team and different task force and committees are thinking about this. And so part of this action, the targeted inclusion needs, the Hanover data is helping us understand what those areas are, that people with diverse religions don't feel as welcome as one example. So I'm very grateful to the CALM committee and to the entire TTUSD staff for taking these surveys. I know I think they feel like death by survey can be happening, but the results are very important and we do go over them carefully because everyone in TTUSD, the cabinet, the school leaders, department leaders, teachers, we all just want to engage and empower our staff, our students, everyone so that they can achieve their potential. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the data, but the CALM committee is going to be digging deeper into this tomorrow afternoon as well, and we'll just keep reporting back. So that's my update.
Thank you for that. Any comments from the public? And anything from us? No, thank you. I always love to see obviously the increases, but interesting that it was 100 less, but you also wonder too if it was because they were, last year may have been just a really tough year, so everybody had a voice and wanted to say something, and maybe, but anyway, that's, if Hanover is happy with the numbers, we'll stay with that. But I do like the fact that we're taking entities such as CALM and listening and doing things, but it's all connected to our strategic plan, but it's listening to what works for every different group, and I think it's it's good. Thank you for that. Now let's try 11. Resolution, please.
Yes, we would be happy to do that. Our Executive Director of Student Services, Dr. Anna Marie Cohen, will address that one.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer. Good evening, President Driller, Board of Trustees, and community. Tonight, I have the honor of presenting a resolution 2024-2025 National School Counseling Week, February 3rd through the 7th of 2025. School counselors are an integral part of our academic and social emotional teams within TTUSD. Counselors help students develop academic plans that align with their interests, abilities, and career goals. Counselors track students' academic progress and intervene when they encounter difficulties. They collaborate with teachers, parents, and administrators to implement strategies for improvement. Counselors offer individual and group counseling to address a variety of social and emotional issues such as stress, anxiety, depression, peer relationships, and family conflicts.
These are just a few of the supports and services counselors bring to our TTUSD schools. And based on the tremendous impact school counselors have in helping students achieve success and as part of National School Counseling Week, it is staff's recommendation the Board of Trustees adopt Resolution 2024-2025 in honor of National School Counseling Week. Are there any questions?
No public comment. I'm going to assume that our public is just going to raise their hand if they have a comment. And board, do you have any comments on our school counselor week? I obviously think that they do more than we know, but true story too, listening to my sister who's in Vermont, the amount of support that we have with our wellness centers and our counselors, I don't think we ever take it for granted, but we have so much more than so many other places, and I think our students have definitely benefited. Her students are struggling, and they have no place to go to talk about it or get anything. But really, again, we've been trying to get this for a long time, and I think it's come to fruition. But having a wellness center at every site, I was at Tower Lake the other day, and that place was jam-packed. Everybody was talking up a storm, but they all felt comfortable coming in and out. And so I think that having our school counselor week is great. We should do more of it. This is an action item. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 21-2024-2025, recognizing the National School Counseling Week.
And a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Perfect. Thank you for that. Moving on to 12.0, a grant. Superintendent Kramer.
Yes.
Oh, my
Dr.
goodness.
Cullen. Thank you.
That was the van.
The Truckee Lions Club has generously provided a grant in the amount of $3,000 to be used to partner with Vision to Learn, a mobile vision van that provides comprehensive eye exams and glasses to children on site at their schools. With the generous donations from our community partners, we are excited to begin our pilot at the end of April, beginning of May of this year. With this pilot, we are able to serve all of Truckee Elementary and Kings Beach Elementary. And we also may have enough to expand to Alder Creek Middle School. It is staff's recommendation that the Board of Trustees accept this grant for $3,000 from the Truckee Lions Club.
Can I just ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
The first two are the elementary schools, Kings Beach and
Truckee.
And then you'd go to the middle school. What happened to the Glenshire? What happened to the other elementary school? Is it just how did they pick that? Sorry.
This is an initial pilot based on the observed need that was identified from fall.
Gotcha.
The intention is to actually expand this program based on the data that we get and with the number of students served.
Gotcha.
To every school site next year.
Okay, sorry for that quick clarification. Any public comment or board comments?
Just can I ask a question? So it sounds like there's opportunity to expand it, but is it a funding issue of expansion or just more need-based?
No, we have the intent to use Medi-Cal reimbursement dollars to expand the program next year. So our intent is to prioritize that as we're planning and budgeting going into the next school year.
Great, thanks. Good question. Pat, anything?
Only if you're not sure what to do with your old reading glasses, Lions Club will find a home for them.
Wait, you will?
Lions Club.
Oh, Lions Club, sorry. I was like, wait, Pat, you're on, okay, gotcha. Are you on the Lions Club?
I am not, but
Oh.
donate my glasses to them.
Nicely done. Well, maybe we'll have a Lions Club donation box in our mobile vision van. With that, it is an action item. Is there anyone that would like to make a motion for this grant from Truckee Lions?
I'll make a motion to accept the grant from the Truckee Lions Club for the mobile vision van.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. And I just want to make a comment that we've had numerous donations to this, and so this is a community-wide support for our mobile vision van. And again, our community being aware of our needs has sort of stepped in, and our different entities and agencies that have have driven that, which is awesome. So hats off to the Truckee Lions. Consent agenda, is there anything from the consent that needs to be pulled, Superintendent Kramer, from?
Nothing from
Nothing?
staff.
Anything from board to be pulled? Is there a motion on the table for consent agenda, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. There's a lot on consent, but I'm very excited. We had a lot of great things happen. Moving to personnel, 15.0, Superintendent Kramer.
And for this item, we will turn to our Executive Director of Human Resources, Mr. Mike Shepard.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer, President Driller, members of the board, and Tahoe Truckee community. I'm pleased to present for your consideration MOU number 6 with CSEA, and this is a new job description titled Community Liaison Interpreter, and it's supporting attendance and TUPE, which is Tobacco Use Prevention Education. And if you ask me technical questions like last meeting, I will defer to Dr. Cohen. So we're grateful that CSEA partnered with us on this for this new position, and this will be very beneficial for our students. And with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? Questions? None from the public. This isn't, thank you very much for that, Mr. Shepard. And this is an info action. If there is no comments, anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve MOU number 6.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. 16.0, Superintendent Kramer.
Yes, our CSEA President, Melissa Cruz, sends us all her best. She wasn't able to be here tonight and did not have an update. So then we will turn to our TTA President, Mrs. Erin Lefevers.
I had to be like the students and bring my computer because I forgot to print out my. But I don't have the fancy PowerPoint like Truckee does. It was tall. Oh, Chad. I had to go after Chad. All right. Well, evening. Happy February. Maybe winter is starting. We'll see. I kind of got used to not having to shovel. So I can't believe how quickly this year seems to be going by. However, March will probably put the brakes on it for us. But yeah, it seems to be. I turned around. It's like, really? We're almost a couple weeks into almost. I was planning out. It's like, wow, quarter's going to come up pretty soon. I don't know if I mentioned one of the last times, but TTEA is switching our social justice chair to a human rights equity committee that is a recommendation from CTA. And so we are sending, I think at least 2 at this point, the California Teachers Association. So, yeah. Yeah, so we're still running with it even though it's being cut elsewhere. We're sending a couple people down to the equity conference in the second week in March, and there's at least 2, possibly 3 people that are going to be working on developing this committee, and it ties in nicely with what some of the stuff that we do with COM. So we're looking forward to having that coming through. TTA would like to thank Kirsten and the board for the update, the protection of our students from anybody coming onto our campuses and giving us some protocols to go in there. TTEA is drafting, and we are reviewing a piece that was drafted by one of our members that comes back and shows support from the Teachers Association to you all for that support for our students there. And a couple of school shout-outs when I asked for shout-outs. Kings Beach Elementary is enjoying their ski days with Schwepp, and then their after-school programs are in full swing again. So they have their cooking classes, guitar classes, and then their dance. And I could always mess up that ballet for thank you. And then they had a dual family movie night on the 31st, so this is very successful. A lot of people coming. They watched the movie in Spanish with the English subtitles on there. And then the Kings Beach 5th graders had an overnight field trip planned at Rideout on the 10th and 11th of April, so that'll be kind of exciting. And then Truckee Elementary sent over that they also were doing lots of skiing at Tahoe Donner and Alpine. And they had their kindness, they're starting their kindness week, well, actually, almost done with their kindness week, and watching the students all get really excited about doing little random acts of kindness for each other adds right in there. And that's it.
Thank you, Erin. I know this is flying by, like it's crazy to think. It's totally fun. And I'm psyched that you asked for shout outs from others. Like, that's kind of cool, just to get shout outs from the other schools. That's just great.
So, President Driller?
Yes, ma'am.
Could we get a reminder, please? What is the new name for Write Out, please? I need to write it down.
We will turn to our Chief Technology Officer, also known as Outdoor Ed Hilton.
Yeah, it's a good moniker for those of us named Ed. We're not necessarily set on the name, but we've been calling it Tahoe, which is Transformative Adventures and Hands-On Outdoor Education. It's a good acronym for, yeah.
Run that by me again?
What was the name of the school? It was Tahoe Outdoor Learning Lab or something?
Yeah, Tahoe Lab and Outdoor School.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
And what was the acronym for?
Transformative Adventures in Hands-On Outdoor Education.
Awesome.
Tahoe.
Tahoe. I got the Tahoe part. I just didn't get the rest of
And I just finished the 50-page permit application for the state parks. I thought we had a lot of paperwork, but state parks has more.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. LaFevers. Thank you.
We are to 17. Superintendent Kramer, first read for board policies.
And for both 17.1 and 17.2, we're going to turn to our Chief Business Officer, Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Todd Rivera.
Yay.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer, President Driller, members of the board. So this is a update to our board policy and administrative regulation 0450, which relates to our comprehensive school safety plans, which every school site is required to have and annually update by March 1st with their school site councils every year. So the updates for the policy are adding new references to new law, which authorizes school employee, a student's parent or guardian or educational rights holder, or a student to bring concerns about an individual student's ability to access disaster safety procedures described in the Comprehensive School Safety Plan. In addition, it also requires the Comprehensive School Safety Plan to include adaptations for students with disabilities in accordance with the Federal Individual and Disability Education Act. All other updates to this policy include in the regulations, requirement in the Comprehensive School Safety Plan for sites to include procedures to assess and respond to reports of any dangerous, violent, or unlawful activity that occurs on campus. And then also new law that requires the plan to include procedures for opioid overdose for students in grades 7 through 12. And then it also includes some other suggestions that are updated in the administrative regulation as well. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Were there any questions from the board? I do want to say that I know that we do this, and it's just a reminder that when we do get all these things that we, as a board, will review them prior to the meeting and then ask questions of Cabinet or Superintendent Kramer so that when we do come to the board meetings, we don't have any questions. And I think when I meet with you two, I often ask when we do the board what some of these things are. So I appreciate the input on that side. I don't think anyone had any questions, but it is nice to hear that we are continuing with our upgrades, but then just, again, it's just making students safe, so. This is an info only, so then 17.2.
Mr. Rivera.
Thank you. So this is another board policy update and administrative regulation update number 3100, which concerns our budget and budget development process. So now in this policy, it's updated to include references to new education code and law that is regarding attendance generated through an attendance recovery program needing to be excluded from the average daily attendance of the school district, and then also that any newly enrolled students who are eligible for free and reduced price meals may be included for the purposes of the local control funding formula. So both of those really apply to the local control funding formula calculation, which doesn't really relate to us as much because we are basic aid. However, we do include it. Also additional requirements if you qualify as a district for the LCFF equity multiplier, which is really for those school districts that exceed 70% of the highest need socioeconomic disadvantaged students. There's also references and just clarifications in this policy regarding if the district chooses to have a budget oversight committee, specifically giving some clarification on the different options for the district, but also clarifying that if you have an oversight committee, you cannot have a majority of board members in there because that would be a quorum and violate the Brown Act. And then also there's some changes to the process that will occur effective January 1st, 2027 with regards to how we post and publish notice for the public hearing for the LCAP and the budget. We're required now to post that in a local newspaper. That will soon change to just having to post the notice on our website. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
No questions from the public and our board. That is an info only, and then those two, that's correct, there's only two. Are we okay with those coming back on consent? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for those. That was a clear description of what was expected. Thank you very much for that, Todd. Look at that. 18.0, board business. Chris, what do you got?
Well, we have 18.
Lordy, I can't really use these. I'll take that Vision van for sure. I'm going, and that's why I'm asking, why isn't it going to Tahoe Lake? I need to get on that van. Okay, thank you, 18.1. Approve, let's go back to Superintendent Kramer. You start us off here. Thank you, Chris.
Yes. So as the governance team, you have the opportunity to submit a vote for who you would like to be the 2025 CSBA delegate assembly member. And so we have 3 candidates, and I believe all of you had a chance to review their statements and why they would like that. So at this point, you guys may have a discussion about that and let us know who you would like to vote for. And I believe they have 2, they can vote for 2 delegates, or is it just 1? Just 1. Okay, so we need to select 1 of the 3.
It says 2, though. No, it says, if you look, because I had to look it up. If you look at the, and I apologize, I closed my computer. Lupita, I did look at it because at one spot, it did say you were, let me get back to it. You will have the opportunity to vote for 2.
Okay.
Okay, for you.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So 2 of them.
And then if I were to look at, thank you, Chris, for this, I apologize.
Did we last year fill in our fellow trustee as our nominee? Okay.
No, that was for something.
I was trying to remember if
Wait,
it was
didn't we
this or
put
something
this
else.
This.
I thought it was
Because
this.
we couldn't support.
We didn't, did we put Pat?
I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't this, because I remember doing this last year.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I was trying to remember if it was this specifically or if it was something else.
So if I can read them, should I read the names in, or do you have them all right? 'Cause again, the 3 that we have would be Alyssa Fong. Candidate number 2 was Jessica Spade, and then the third one was Jonathan, yes, Zacharison. And so in order to make this, we have 2 out of 3. So is there a formula that I need to use, or can I just say All of those in favor for Alyssa?
Is that an acceptable vote?
However you want to. So I guess the question is, did everyone get a chance to read their
Yes.
profiles? And does everyone feel comfortable? Does anyone have any questions? And then could we publicly ask? Anybody, you have no input, it's just us? Yeah. Okay, so does everyone feel comfortable being able to make a vote with what you have read?
And we vote collectively though, right?
Correct, so it will be, whoops, sorry. That we,
Okay, let me start.
yeah,
I'm in favor of Alyssa Fong and Jessica Spade, and not Jonathan Sackerson.
Okay.
I don't think he aligns with our educational philosophies.
okay. Danielle?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say the same out of the choices that we have. Those are the two top of the three.
Okay.
I feel the same way.
And I feel the same way. So that is a unanimous vote for the board members that are present. And that would be that we would vote for Jessica and Alyssa as our two votes.
We need a motion. It's
Um,
an action item.
So this is an action item. And Chris, would you like to start us off?
I don't have the candidates'
Oh,
names in front of me.
okay, sorry. Well,
Sorry. Here we go.
oh, okay, I have them differently.
Underneath the highlight, please.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to support candidate Alyssa Fong and candidate
Jessica?
Jessica Spade for the subregion 4D.
I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Nicely done, Chris Clerk. Thank you. Wow. That was good. That was a
Wow,
good.
I'm impressed. Like, everybody read those and it was like, I wanted to thank the leadership and staff at Tahoe Lake Elementary for allowing us to come and tour the site and sit in on some classroom time. And the school has already heard this from us, but I was thoroughly impressed, and the quality of teachers was just super impressive, to use the same adjective. It was just so fun to watch them be energized in teaching, and we specifically focused on the math curriculum. Yes?
Social emotional.
Social emotional.
And we got to see the math.
And we got to see the math, and the reason that stuck out for me is we recently went to Glenshire Elementary and got to watch the math there, and I guess I don't want to take social emotional for granted, but the math curriculum level of teaching is kicking some serious butt at the elementary school level that I've been able to see. So that's what stuck out for me. I know we're loving on our kids. I know we're supporting them. I know we're teaching them to express what they're feeling. But that's what stood out for me. And so thank you to Tahoe Lake Elementary. And I think that's all I have for right now. Okay. Thank you.
I agree. I enjoyed watching the teachers kind of interact with the students when we did the tour at Tahoe Lake Elementary, but I also wanted to give a shout out for the tech. So we were impressed with sort of the podcast equipment that some of the teachers were using. I think it's just been a while since I've kind of watched that level of detail too, of like the touchable screens, which seemed to be so helpful because that's less time the teachers have to go back and forth between kind of the overhead and that interaction where they could do it in real time, and then the students would get up and then they would like erase what they, seen. So it became also more interactive for the students too. So I think it was just a good working example for us of how tech really does support the learning process. And it gives both the students and the teachers sort of that next step level to where I went home and I was like, we should get some podcast equipment because I feel like this is like super helpful. Yeah, so I was online looking it up because I wrote it down when I was in there. But I just really appreciated that too, and just seeing that level of diversity in the classroom. So shout out to tech.
On Monday, I got to read questions for the academic team meet at Truckee High. Again, I did that last year, and it was a great experience. Truckee High kind of ran away with the whole thing. North Tahoe have made a great showing. Unbelievably smart kids. I don't know where they pull these facts out. They'll do a math question, and I'm 3 words in, and they'll have the answer, and half the time, I don't even know what the question is asking, you know, and especially the science ones where they're using all kinds of scientific terms, which so I just hope that I'm reading it in a way that they understand it and that I'm pronouncing things right.
Wait,
But
so you read to the students?
I read questions.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did that once, and I had to stop.
It's not easy.
Because it's so impressive.
You have to try to read ahead while you're reading aloud so that you know how to pronounce the stuff that's coming up. You know, you can't preload all that in your head because there's, 150 questions. But boy, that's I felt proud that I think that's a tricky skill to read ahead while you're reading out loud.
Yes,
Anyway.
yeah.
But congratulations to our kids. Just phenomenally, frighteningly smart. Whatever we're doing, this. And, I thought, how do kids get that way? When I thought about it logically, I thought these kids read all the time, they pay attention in class all the time, and they're in school all the time, and I think those are 3 big, and they have, of course, supportive parents and staff. I'm sure that's a little bit part of it too, but I'm kidding. It's a huge part of it. Okay, the next thing was, this Friday, big event coming up this Friday night at Heavenly is the Alpine Ski Racing version of Friday Night Lights. It's a night race, starts at 4:30 at Heavenly. All the NI2A schools will be there. And it's a great event. Heavenly is really kind of going all out with this. There will be music, there will be food, there will be glow lights to wear and safely on the racers. We'll figure out how to do that. And I believe there may be dancing. So, if you want to come for a free good time and watch some great ski racing, great skiers, come on down to that. Starts at 4:30 at Heavenly on the under the tram, whatever side that is. Yeah, I always get them mixed up. Under the tram. Yeah, California side. Yeah, and then finally, the drama kids at Truckee High are going to Folsom this weekend, traveling to Folsom this weekend for the annual Linnea drama competition. We have kids that will be competing in things like costume design, set design, directing, singing, acting, the whole thing. So last year they did pretty well. The Truckee kids, I don't know, is North Tahoe kids going? No. They are, okay, great. Oh, okay. I'll see you there. Yeah, I'm going too. Yeah. But actually, it's fun to watch. It's drama's not my thing. It's Mira's thing. But it's great watching these kids present these things that they developed on their own and they prepared on their own. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm psyched. I wish that. There's just so many things to do. I will echo the unbelievably ignorant that you feel after reading those questions. And Galen used to do it with us, and it's impressive, but it is a little scary. And it is a little scary, but really fun. I'm glad you're doing it. And I just appreciate the fact that the schools will keep inviting us to do these things. And I think the more we are able to do those fun activities, the more we know of what's happening at the school sites. Instead of just doing your typical meetings or whatnot, these are the things where we get to see the feet on the pavement, and you actually are like reading something to these students and they're answering it before you even finish, which that's amazing. Yeah, so anyway, Tahoe Lake, that was really fun. The whole group, it definitely was a kindness week and whatnot, but just really fun to see everybody joining in and all the teachers. They did such a great job stopping as soon as we came in and did their
mindful minute, and we, Chris was making a point, are we disrupting you? And they were all kind of excited to stop, and the kids were I wouldn't say well rehearsed, but they were all pretty good at doing it all, all the activities, which was nice. That touchscreen thing was awesome, and talking about trying to get the kid who's not paying attention, you'd be like, hey, Jane, you want to just erase that? So there she comes from the back of the classroom, who maybe would never speak or do any public comment, but then she would erase the board, which I thought was a kind of a cool trick in terms of getting people on board. I did get to go to the, what's it called? The band concert, which is Truckee. Oh my gosh, I butchered it already. But the percussion presentation at North Tahoe Music.
The Truckee Tahoe Music School, through that grant.
Yes, okay, Tahoe Truckee. So that's what they did. And sorry, I apologize. I wrote it down incorrectly. But percussion performance that was with the elementary school kids, and they made it so funny, and all kinds of different percussion things, and it was interesting. I still think that we probably should have made a stadium in there inside for our classrooms with bleachers, but the whole classroom was sitting in the gym, and they had everyone's attention. It was really, really fun. And that is about it. We will adjourn at 7:05.
And you're clear.
Thank you. Really fun.